Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I haven't made a video in a while, and I think that part of that is because I'm still working on getting used to talking to myself in front of a camera. But I think that just takes practice, and I'll probably get better at that over time. It's also a bit hard to make talking videos entertaining, and I don't really got the balls yet to be filming vlogs and stuff, so I'm going to try to keep these types of videos shorter. But I did start this channel because I wanted to share my perspectives on stuff. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on talking about money. So not necessarily about money in general, which I'll make more videos on later, but about talking about it and when I think it's important to do so, and also the effects that come from talking about money. Talking about money doesn't just mean sharing how much money you make, it also means other things as well, which I will talk about in a bit here. But the sharing how much money you make thing is interesting because I think most of the time it can benefit other people. Like if I asked how much money a college student makes, I wouldn't really be surprised if they said something like $0 or they said they make like $10 an hour from their job, because I already know that they're full-time students, and knowing how much money they make probably won't change what I think about them. But it could still educate me by letting me know what to expect if I worked one of those jobs. Like I've learned that the school pays barely above minimum wage for most of the student positions here, and that's $7.25 an hour in North Carolina. But they may have other benefits as well on top of that hourly wage. I'm just not really familiar with it. While on this topic, I also do want to say that I personally don't have a job, so I don't make any money, but I do think that gives me more time to explore the things that I like working on this YouTube channel. Anyways, I also think it's a similar thing with people like big influencers who share how much money they make from social media. Like people already get a good sense of how much money they make based on their followers, so them sharing how much money they make won't really change other people's opinions about them, but it will educate people on how influencers make their money from social media and how much money someone can expect to make with an audience size similar to theirs. Speaking of education, I also think it's important for schools and parents to talk about money with children. So I think things like saving money and knowing what assets are and stuff like that are important to teach children, because it is important to almost all adults, and exposing kids to that stuff earlier will only benefit them. Like for example, I wouldn't have known the importance of credit if I didn't watch YouTube videos about it. While on the topic of penguins, I think it's a good thing to talk about money related topics with other people, since it has a role in everyone's lives. And it also doesn't always have to be about how much money someone makes. Now moving away from penguins, there are also a lot of times when money doesn't need to be talked about, and times when it won't really benefit anyone. Like if you just met someone, you don't need to be asking them how much money they make. I think the biggest reason for this is because knowing how much money someone makes sort of changes your perspective on them and what you think about them. Like if the only thing that you know about someone is that they make relatively little money, you probably won't respect them as much or like trust them as much, as opposed to someone who you know makes a lot of money, who you'll probably respect more and will probably want to listen to more. Sort of like the halo effect. Like, I don't think this is always true, but I think it is something that people do subconsciously once they find out how much money someone makes. This is also different from my examples of college students and social media influencers, because we already have an idea of how much money they make, so our opinion won't really change in those specific examples. So to summarize all that, I think it is good to talk about money because it educates people on a really important topic, but it is also important to know that knowing how much money someone makes might change how you subconsciously think about them. Anyways, that's it for this video, and let me know if you have any thoughts on what I said in the comments below. If you don't have any thoughts about that, I would also appreciate your thoughts on this type of video, and whether or not if you actually think my opinions are interesting, and if you have any suggestions for future videos as well. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to me talk, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright guys, so I recorded that last part like 3 months ago, but I just haven't gotten around to editing it. So I learned from one of my professors a few days ago that the salaries of the people working at UNC is public information, because it's a public state school, so we are able to see all of them in a database online from the state of North Carolina. Now I wanted to add this part of the video so that we can look at the database a little bit, because I felt that it's pretty relevant to the topic that I was discussing before. So if you look up UNC public salary information, you can get to the site here, where it's literally just a database of everyone working at UNC and what they make essentially, and like the department they work in, and what their title is. And it looks like you can even export an Excel sheet here of all this information. So I looked through this a little bit, and I just wanted to share what I've learned from it. So I guess the first thing that's interesting is if we sort by salary here. So these salary numbers here are base salaries, so these don't include stuff like bonuses or incentives that some people working maybe in the athletic department get. So as we can see here, the people with the highest base salaries seem to be the people in the athletic departments, and also higher level professors and people working in the health department, so like these clinical professors. But in terms of these high salary earners, I feel like these base salaries here don't really represent how much some of these people in the athletic department make. So for example, if we want to go to the basketball department here, I'm going to see all these people, and it looks like Hubert Davis is making the most amount of money here, but he definitely makes a lot more than his $400K base salary here based off of what's in his contract. In terms of certain by salary, I guess we can conclude that the people in the athletic departments, the people with the higher teaching statuses, and also the people that are working in the hospitals, we can generally say that they are the ones making the most amount of money here. So if we go to say the economics department here, we can see that there's a wide range in terms of how much the professors make here. So we can see that the distinguished professors here are making the most amount of money, and then next will be the professors with the title just professor. I guess next comes like assistant professors and then maybe teaching professors. So after looking at that, maybe we can take a look at another department, say the English department here, and we can see based off this first page, it looks like that there's a pretty big difference between each of the working titles and how much money they make. In the economics department, the distinguished professors were making like 300, 400k a year. Some of these distinguished professors in the English department are making around 150. Yeah, so as we go into this next page here, it seems like it's still the same thing. The highest earners here seem to be the distinguished professors and the people with just the professor title. So I guess that the department professor teaches in does play a role into how much money they make, because it looks like the English department here across the board on all working titles are making a little bit less than those from the economics department example. And I don't know, it might be based on sample size and stuff, because these are relatively small sample sizes here. But even if we're looking at, say, the geography department here, we don't really see anyone making over this 200k mark, even if they're distinguished professors here. When in the economics department, even people with just a professor title are making over 200,000. So I haven't looked too deep into this, but from the light research that we just did, I feel like we found out that the athletic coaches here are making straight dough. But we should remember that the numbers also don't include bonuses and other stuff in their contracts. And it looked like the highest level health professionals here are also making comparable salaries to those in the athletic department. From what I know, professors generally don't receive too much in bonuses, so I feel like the salaries listed online are probably similar to reality, but don't quote me on that one. It looked like the salaries for professors generally depend on their title the most, and also a little bit on their department that they teach in. But I only say that based on comparing those three departments, so that also might not be 100% accurate. So I feel that all this shows why I think it's important to talk about money like this, because we're able to come to these conclusions about what determines a professor's salary, which I thought were pretty interesting. You may have already known about all this stuff, but I just found it pretty cool and wanted to share it in case you weren't familiar with the database. Okay, so this will really be the end of the video, and if you thought anything was interesting or if anything that I said was incorrect, then let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.